Hello, everybody, and happy Stream Friday or happy whatever day, time of the week you're watching this. If it's live, awesome, or the pre-recorded. I would definitely say those are super fun to catch up on. But I'm Meredith, and you're here with all the wonderful Reclaim team. We're going to talk about some of the projects that Reclaim has done over the last year, honestly, year and a half to 2 years that's been going on behind the scenes. We've done some of this in the past previously, but I definitely wanted to, not myself, but the whole team, we wanted to get together and kind of talk about some of the awesome stuff that's been going on to help make Reclaim run more efficiently and offer some awesome new features from here. So I'm here with Marin, Taylor, Chris, and Jason, all from all sides of the Reclaim team. So how's everybody doing?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to be back on Reclaim TV, and I'm kind of excited to kind of chat through because it's been a big year, and so I'm kind of it's nice to gloat a little bit, right? Got to
Yeah.
take a sec to do that.
Absolutely. Um, so we have a couple to talk about particularly, but we are just coming up on the year mark of a big change that we made to our shared hosting systems and the billing system in particular. So I kind of wanted to highlight that first. But we moved billing systems. We just upgraded our shared hosting billing system to um, from one version to another, but we also ended up making a lot of like internal theme changes and a lot of fun changes to some of the features we offer. So now we offer automatic payments, some more domain management options, and things like that. So um, that was a huge task in the making, and a lot of the work on the infrastructure side. So I kind of want to kick it off over to infrastructure to talk about a little bit about the process itself.
Yeah, so it's actually been 366 days. I was just scrolling through our chat here, and we started the move on, besides development work, of course, but the actual move began on July 30th, 2024. So yesterday was the year mark. Today is year and 1 day. I I don't want to admit it, but there were some stragglers left behind that we had to clean up, a few accounts that we still had to move over.
Yeah.
But it's, like you said, it's been a year.
Yeah, and we're recording this a week before the premiere, so as of today, 366 days, plus seven. I think this is coming out next week or the week after. I don't remember what day, but
Days are hard. Time
yeah,
zones are hard.
these are
Math is
hard.
hard.
So yeah, so walk us through a little bit about like what went on behind the scenes as much as we can share, but I'm happy to also talk about some of the communication pieces we did because it was truly like a whole team effort
Mm,
between testing and communications and support troubleshooting and things like that.
And we really had
yeah,
like a year-long timeline too.
Hmm.
we
Well,
did.
probably more than that actually, but like it was quite a project management thing as well.
Yeah, so we had our previous billing installation around for years, and it became kind of a Jenga tower of dependencies, different modules, different themes. If we didn't update one and it fell out of the rotation of being updated and replaced, it became old. Then another module that depended on it couldn't upgrade. Then it just had a cascading effect out of it became unmanageable over the years. We did try several times in the past to upgrade it, upgrade the themes, upgrade the core, upgrade the PHP version, everything, and it never worked. We did try to continue doing that, create a dev instance, upgrade that, see where things failed, fix that, re-upgrade it, and so on. But at the beginning of 2024, we just decided to rebuild it completely. Fresh start, fresh server, fresh installation, fresh everything, so that we could start fresh. Uh, and that made it a lot more manageable. We had to develop some internal use software because WHMCS, our billing platform, does have an import feature, but it works sometimes. So we ended up developing some software that did exactly what we needed to do. Uh, Bring over user accounts, bring over packages, everything. And it really looks like this is going to be a much more manageable approach, given we've already been able to upgrade. We're using stock software, stock configurations with some security additions. Obviously, it's billing platform. We don't want to leave that open. But it's just going to be a much more manageable process.
It's also nice too because, of course, we use WHMCS for not just our own shared hosting platform, but for Domain of One's Own as well, at least for now. And I think that I think you having gone through that and done the hard work of, okay, well, we have to roll our own import basically, has kind of opened up a lot of other, maybe not a lot, but it comes up, a couple times a year where schools need to do something, merge some things over, migrate some things over in bulk that up till now we just couldn't really do, and WHMCS didn't really have tools for. So it's been, I would say, also a general win even outside of the big obvious one for us on shared hosting, because I think we kind of whether we like it or not, we more intimately understand the tool and can do a little bit more with it. So
I must say, like, obviously I know I didn't think I knew anything about WHMCS before this process started. And then like in the work that I do with you guys, like every week there was like project updates and a huge amount of process and planning and development behind the scenes. And, I'm obviously, I get to work with you all, but I'm also like a shared hosting customer and have been for over a decade. And so from like, my sort of user perspective, like it was so smooth. I got like a lovely email telling me something's happening, which I really appreciated, because so many platforms nowadays, they just update your service and then tell you afterwards, and you'll kind of have zero notice or zero warning. And then like it was interesting to see the two sides, sort of like the huge volume of work that was happening behind the scenes that nearly no one saw, and the sort of very smooth, like, this is happening on this date. Oh, it's happened on this date. It's completed now. You can just move along and use your service as usual. And it was so seamless sort of from the outside. And, I'm so full of admiration, like how much effort and planning and detail went into all of that. So yeah, kudos to you all. It was such a smooth experience for users, and I know the feedback was great from people as well. Very few people had questions, but can't believe how much effort went into that behind the scenes.
It's I think it was also a project for us that we talked a lot, and I don't know that we completely nailed it. I mean, you can always improve on communication and stuff like that, but I mean, we did focus a lot on how this was communicated, and I'm hoping, I think we struck a good balance between informing folks ahead of time, letting them know, but also disclosing what was useful at the time that it might be useful. We tried not to let folks like there were things people would need to know, like, hey, on this day you will have to reset your password, right, when you get back in. Like that was part of the process here. We knew that basically a year out, but we chose not to mention that until a couple weeks before, because otherwise we knew people don't really read email, right? So at least a lot of people don't. So we would definitely have people resetting their passwords ahead of time before they needed to get to the new system and go, my password doesn't work. And we go, you need to reset it. And then they would probably say, I already did that. And go, well, that's cool, but you need to do it again. And I'm sure there was still some amount of that, right? To be clear. But I think if in my experience, Reclaim has done a good job for a long time on communicating stuff ahead of time, communicating it effectively, going into detail. But in this case, we realized that there was so much detail that we had in our heads that we really needed to be choosy about what made it to the customers, because frankly, from their perspective, all they really needed to know is that on this day after this date, they'll have to reset their password. Like that was about all they needed to know.
I think the flow worked well. I mean, having worked in support for a long time now and seeing big changes happen, and the amount of stuff the support team sees after those changes happen, and the amount of emails we get and questions we get, I mean, the ones we got for this were, I mean, fairly minimal, I would say. I don't think people had a lot of questions or a lot of issues. And the ones that did come in were very simple and easy to fix. And just kind of, a lot of times it was just referring them to that email or just reiterating that email, what they needed to do. And that solved the problem. So yeah, I think the communications were very effective for this transition.
Yeah, and I think we also ended up using a lot of our strategy for communication into another major project that actually finished up about a month ago too. Our big transition from CentOS 7 to Ubuntu servers or Alma Linux servers.
Rest in peace,
And
CentOS 7.
yeah, RIP. And it kind of allowed us to like create that sort of communication template for any sort of big maintenance we have to do for project wise on that side. So that was a big feat in itself. I think that one was a much longer project for us. I think it almost took us 2 years, 2.5 years to complete as we had to move every server of our fleet to a new infrastructure.
Yeah, a huge project, and in a lot of ways, as you mentioned, similar in scale for us. In some ways bigger, but also kind of inverted, right? So like WHMCS was like a lot of preparing, and then bam, we do it. And CentOS 7, like the path is laid clear years ago for us, and we started working on it. I mean, I think I've been at Reclaim since 2021, and that when I first started, Chris was migrating things off CentOS 7 for end of life at that time. So it's been, but the pace of it in the last 2 years has really ramped up for us, obviously. But that one's kind of the opposite in that like it affects, whereas WHMCS affects, you know, thousands of people on one day, basically. This affects a couple hundred on one day in batches over multiple years, and it's a lot of hands-on work in some ways for us to do those migrations. There's, you know, in theory, could we do all of them in a couple days if we like set up all the servers? Maybe, but it would have been a horrible experience for users. That would have been probably a disaster, right? When things gone wrong. It would have taken us a long time to fix stuff. So we tried to be really cautious about it and go one at a time. And I think we did a pretty good job of that too, if I may, if I do say so. But it is in a lot of ways kind of the reverse problem, you know, or inverted version of that same problem.
Yeah, I remember like I mean it's like I remember like a month ago or how like honestly as we were kind of coming up on the project as we were getting in a groove, like just being like, okay, like almost anticipating what kind of tickets were going to come in that particular day. Like if it was a Sunday, we did most of our shared hosting servers on Sundays. Chris would start that during the day, and then Monday morning, if they were still happening, like Jason and I were like, okay, so we're going to see this question, then this question, this question throughout the week, and then even like domain of one's own. Like I think at one point we had 3 or 4 schools lined up per week for the migrations to finish it out. So it became like I would say a well-oiled machine in the way that we were able to like anticipate a couple of questions, or if something did happen, because not all migrations were the same. Like even though the process is pretty straightforward and about the same process, there could have been some setting or something on the old server that just caused a snowball of something that ended up taking the infrastructure team away to troubleshoot. So it ended up becoming a good way for us to anticipate issues as they arose.
One of the things that really jumps out at me is, you know, you all talking about these migrations and how long some of this takes, is how much this has in common with what we see some of the schools that we've done case studies with this year do with their domain of one's own. You know, they often have messy systems that originated in the mid 90s and then somehow transmorphed into, you know, something newer. And now, I think often when people talk about educational technology, it's all shiny, new, you know, whatever the newest thing is right now. But in reality, we all deal with like the really messy tail end of all the older technologies that people still using and how you move people, you know, gradually on. And I think that communications piece is really important. But for many of our schools that we work with, they have, you know, a community on campus or across different schools. But our team works across, you know, over a couple of hundred institutions with different faculty, different groups of people. And, you know, that's like a lot of different moving pieces. So I think it's really interesting how many parallels there are between, you know, what we do kind of at a bigger scale and what schools do within their faculty and students.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think one of the things that, you know, you mentioned like supporting the long tail of something is difficult, and that's definitely true. But I think one of the things I really appreciate about working here at Reclaim is that doesn't. I've definitely worked in or observed projects where it's like it would be hard to continue that thing in some manner or provide some continuity of service. And so instead of finding out how hard it would be, we're just not going to. And obviously sometimes you do have to make that call. Like, I'm not saying there's never a time for that, but I think, I don't know if I would call it a core principle of the company, but it's definitely a little bit in our DNA, especially as web hosts, especially as folks who support education. And I think a lot of us care about how the web is rooted in higher ed originally. It comes from there. So, you know, we don't take things like that lightly. Like we try to make continuity of things part of what people can expect, or at least provide options, right? Like if someone needs to spin down a service, we are very much want to work with them on like what that might look like and what forms folks' content can take and how that can go. And you know, we did the case study with Stanford this year about how sort of you know, their earliest systems are kind of, a lot of that stuff is on their domain of one's own now, and so that's a great home for it. They're not the only school like that, but I think they're a great example. I find that really rewarding, that we can be kind of part of the solution, not the problem. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's been kind of a theme for us. Maybe not the last year. I don't know that it's new, but I think that has been a theme that I've seen again and again is like, how can we, you know, make things manageable, make things secure, make things fast, make things good, but give people options to bring things with them, take and get them up to date in a way that isn't a pain to deal with.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering as well, like, you know, one of the things we've done as a team this year, and, you know, I'm mindful that Jim isn't here to shout blog really loudly, so I'll do my best to kind of, you know, bring that into the conversation. But, you know, we've been talking about sort of how to keep things simple with static sites. And I know that a lot of you have contributed to that recent blog series. And I think this is a really good example of sharing know-how. And, you know, obviously we do the workshops as well, but we also share kind of how we do things all the time. And I wonder whether that would be a good, you know, thing to also celebrate a little bit. I know, Jason, you've been blogging on the Reclaim blog and talking about static sites. I know Meredith has been blogging and leading one of the community sessions about blogging in our community of practice. And, you know, I know we've all been kind of contributing to that. So should we go and check in with that as well? Like, I don't really want to talk about the static sites, please, because I haven't used any of these tools. So Jason, I might just pass this over to you seamlessly.
Oh man. So yeah, that was actually a hard one for me because I'm like you, I have never used static sites. So it was just like a complete learning curve for me. So thankfully there's lots of documentation out there on the web that I could look at in existing tutorials. But yeah, I jumped in, and I think that was maybe the first blog post I put on the Reclaim blog. I can't remember if I ever did one before. So that was a whole new experience for me. And I know there's some more planned coming up, so I'll be more involved in that. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun new challenge to jump in there. And y'all definitely challenged me with one that I knew nothing about. So that was a good learning experience. Other than that, I don't know really what to say about static sites. I don't know if somebody else has more input on that. Like I said, it's a whole new area for me, so my frame of reference is a little bit limited.
I think our static site blogging journey is just beginning. Meredith, I believe you did the one on SiteJet, right?
Yeah, I've done 2 so far about SiteJet and cPanel because that was kind of my first introduction into static sites. And just it's there for most of our users who are on cPanel. And I just thought it would be really interesting to kind of see like how it's being used. And we did run into a bug in cPanel where if you're using domains, you can't open it from your dashboard. You have to like open it in a new tab. So that's a good tip for folks if you're watching and run into that issue. But
and it's a bug we're working on.
Yeah, it's a bug we're working on.
So.
And it was just kind of fun to experiment a little bit. Like I think I'd used it like once as a student, before, like when it was first introduced, but not like highlighted, and to like make my resume or something. So that was a long time ago, like 10 plus years ago. At this point, but it was interesting to get back into it to see how easy it's been and like to see the new integrations. Like they're now showing a new AI tool that's involved in it and things like that. And the other post that I wrote was like benefits of why it's helpful in cPanel, like not only like security wise because it's a static site, so there's no like active logins or anything like that. You're just uploading a file. And just less risk of compromise into just faster loading speeds because the content's already cached or already on the page instead of trying to dynamically load an image or anything like that. So it was interesting, and I'm glad to see it's going to continue moving forward. I think Taylor's got the next one coming up, and we'll see. I know we've got some requests from folks in the community, like publishing via GitHub and things like that. So just hoping happening here soon. So.
I will also mention on the static site front. Yes, it's my turn. I've been a little bit slacking on the blog post stuff, and hope to return to that. I've got a couple ideas, and I even have some ideas to throw out to folks. I think, Jason, when you have time, another one that could be kind of cool to look at and maybe closer to your knowledge zone, because I know you're pretty comfortable in WordPress. We should definitely do one on Simply Static. It's a plugin that can turn a WordPress site into a static site. I personally haven't used it too much, but I know I've heard about it from customers a couple times, and I think that could be a good one to explore. I'm kind of keen to talk about how I used to use my blog. I don't actually have a static site blog anymore, but and I may talk about why I moved away. I've done a stream on it before, but concise in a blog post format. But there are some tools that run directly on cPanel that can be really good if you're command line oriented. I know, Chris, you've talked about the idea of turning your blog into a static site at some point. So
it's in progress. I just got to find the time.
Yeah.
It's got a GitLab repo. It's ready to go.
Nice. Hugo?
Jekyll, actually, just because I love Ruby for no particular reason other than that it's kind of if Perl was Python.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Ruby. I don't like gems. I don't like the package management situation, but
there are no good package managers except Pacman.
Fair enough. Well, see, that's the thing. I'll have to blog about Hugo. You should blog about Jekyll. I like Hugo because you don't need a package manager to use it. But there's some good options, and stay tuned on more static site stuff. I'm even hoping to get some other folks involved, some more guest posts on static sites as well too. So.
I was wondering, like, one of the things we haven't mentioned yet is that, whilst we had a really exciting year in Reclaim, WordPress has had a kind of, an interesting year, I think is fair to say. And, in our community, there have been lots of conversations around that. lots of viewpoints, lots of heated discussions, and one of the ways in which that has come up in our community is obviously a lot of people use WordPress for blogging, and we have a blogging community of practice, a lot of people talking about it, and also thinking about federated social media. So I wanted to just highlight that all that knowledge sharing we've been doing on using Ghost as well, which we use for the Reclaim blog. And Taylor, I think you ran that session for the community of practice on blogging with Ghost, because there are some people, who are exploring outside of WordPress as well. So I just wanted to give that a shout out, because I think that was super popular. And I think more people in our community are now experimenting with, things like Ghost.
Yeah. So I always got to say two things when we bring up WordPress alternatives and Ghost, because I do love Ghost, and my tiny blog has migrated content management systems a few times. Two of those times was to Ghost in different life iterations, and it's currently there, and I really like it. It's an elegant tool. I think if you're looking for something that functions kind of like WordPress but has a bit of a newsletter focus and is stripped back features wise, like it doesn't have as many features, but I think it has what you need. It's a really good one. It doesn't run on shared hosting. You need something like Reclaim Cloud to run it, but it's pretty cheap to run on Reclaim Cloud. So I think it's a great thing. We have a lot of resources we can point you to, or you can ask us questions about it. Always happy to chat about Ghost. A couple things there. I'm really excited to see that Ghost is very imminently adding ActivityPub support. So that means it can interact with folks on Mastodon and other ActivityPub tools on the Fediverse. That's really cool, and it seems to be really, in the way Ghost typically does things, like a thoughtful and well-designed tool in there. That's not out yet, but I'm really excited. And I think coinciding with that, I have some updates to our Ghost installer that we'll be able to release around the same time that gives a couple companion features that sometimes are missing to Ghost. Some things like advanced commenting systems and statistics, things like that Ghost doesn't really do much of built in. We'll have a nice little update to our I'll go ahead and promise that, because I'm mostly done with it anyway. So I'm excited about that. Second thing, this is the worst. I'm not great at structuring my conversation in points, but the second thing I like to bring up is I really do think WordPress, if you're angry with WordPress, the community, or Matt Mullenweg or anything like that, I think that's fair and good. But I do think in a lot of ways, maybe save the Linux project. WordPress is one of the most remarkable open source things, just full stop. And while the actions of a company or a person in charge of a company have pointed out a lot of centralization in WordPress in terms of how plugins are distributed and who holds what power, it's been really heartening for me to see the reaction to that, which is a lot of things pop up as alternatives, not to WordPress, but to those systems in WordPress. So we're already seeing a full replacement for the WordPress.org plugin and theme store that you can install and use. And to be clear, you already can download zip files and upload them, right? That was always in WordPress, but folks are already, there's a working tool that's like a sort of decentralized version of that. And we're seeing a lot of other things around that too. I guess my point is, it's been really encouraging to me to see folks realize this thing and then immediately solutions pop up. And I bet in 1 or 2 years, not only will there be more and good versions of these solutions, they may be even the default, seeing how WordPress works. So I think WordPress is in as good a place as a tool. I think WordPress is in a better place than ever, actually. So I don't think you should go running away for one reason. I think it's a really great tool, even if it's not what I'm using on my blog right now. But I'm weird. Don't make my decision. Don't make decisions based on what technical choice I'm making. Half mine are based on what morning, what side of the bed I woke up on that morning. So
That's awesome. So we can kind of kick off the like highlights from the year, I think, some accomplishments that we've done throughout the time, and some we can tease some fun stuff that's coming up from here. But I'll open up to anybody who
Yeah,
wanna jump
I'll jump in. So I've got one looking back, which is one of the things I've enjoyed the most working on this year is the On Writing series on Reclaim TV. I've been loving tuning in to Jim interviewing a whole range of writers and bloggers. You know, we had so many cool voices in there. Just earlier today, I was re-listening to the episode with Brian Alexander, who's kind of talking it from a futurist perspective. You know, I loved the episode with Amy Collier and Tom Woodward, and they were talking about their AI kind of take on helping and supporting students and digital literacy. And I also really enjoyed you know, listening to Kate Bowles and Audrey Waters, and like it's just been like, you know, just the hits really come on coming. And I'm even more excited because a few of the interviews over the summer I get to do as Jim is traveling, so I'm looking forward to broadcasting those with Bonnie Stewart and Alan Levine. So that's been really, really fun. And I guess that brings me to the thing I'm looking forward to come fall, because it's my first time being involved in Reclaim Open, Reclaim's flagship conference. I think, Jason, it's your first time as well. I don't think either one of us has ever been to one of these before. And yeah, I'm really excited about getting involved. And there's so many fun things in store for the conference. It's all online this year, which is great because given that I'm based in the UK, I actually get to go to the whole event. So that is something I'm really looking forward to. And yeah, that's it from me. Chris, I'm going to hand over to you if that's okay.
Absolutely. It's kind of a highlight. It's kind of a new thing just because the highlight is internal. We've done a lot of work on it. It's great, but it's going to be a new thing. Big changes are coming to Domain of One's Own. We're calling it Domain of One's Own version 2 because it's version 2. That's it. The attempt there is to reduce dependencies, make it a little more secure, make it a little bit more manageable for admins and for us. Previously, it's been kind of a, I keep going back to Django, but that's just the best way I can describe any software I've used. Just a tower of dependencies.
That XKCD comic, right? With the
yes, that's the only thing I can think of. It's always relevant. It goes back to WHMCS, again, its own Jenga. That's how Domain of One's Own was before. This attempts to simplify it, making it easier to manage, making it so that we can update it. There are a few installs out there that are lagging behind in updates, which is not great. I can't say much more unless you want me to start pulling up the actual source code and going through it line by line, which no one's going to enjoy. The guy who enjoyed that left.
We'll do another stream on that one, I think.
Yeah.
As we get going. But if you're in the chat when this premieres, definitely, if you want more info, let us know.
So yeah, it's just I can only be super vague right now just because a lot of the work is low-level PHP, stuff that no one wants to see. But I'm just hoping it makes things easier for us and easier for admins.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I will say I think you've made a lot of progress on it in a very short amount of time, and so there's no way I'm gonna mention timelines yet because just who knows, right? But we're really excited to have more to share over the next year on it, basically, and it'll be something that I think most schools will be able to take advantage of when it's ready, and will make most admins' lives easier to use. Most students and faculty who are using the system, I think it's easier than what we have right now, and it's informed by what we've learned supporting this thing as a company for 10 plus years. So I'm really excited to kind of have more as it's appropriate to share the things. So much of it's still in flux. So much of it's still placeholder. Well, not placeholder, but like, you know, we're polishing.
It looks
things
terrible.
Like that.
It looks.
I think
You
it
could
looks
just say
actually pretty good. But like, you know, we're making improvements on how it looks.
I am not a front end dev.
Yeah, I'm saying that I think for what you've got right now, I think it's already a more scrutable interface than WHMCS is. So, but yeah, we're really excited on that. I am also excited about that. And I will say for me, I'm very excited to. That's what I'm looking forward to the most as well. I'm also personally looking forward, or personally a highlight for me this year has been the year I've really dug in on like infrastructure and sysadmin stuff. I've always kind of had like a toe into that, even in previous jobs, but this is the year I've been able to kind of really learn and try and contribute on that front, and that has been really rewarding for me. So that's been great, and I'm excited to do more of that, and excited to see what we can do this year and share on Domain of Zone version 2. So that's my little highlight. Jason, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I've been thinking it's hard to pick a highlight. You know, I think for most of the last year I've kind of been heads down support wise. So you're just kind of watching as these wonderful things roll out and making sure everybody's supported as things change. But you know, it's kind of hard to pick a highlight out of all that. But I will say going forward, I'm very excited. Like I said, I did my first blog post. I think I'm going to get pulled more into that kind of the social aspect of, you know, posting things. I've done that for a couple of weeks now. Started this summer, putting some posts up on our social networks and doing the blogging. So I'm excited to kind of move just out of like the heads down support all day, every day, and move into that space, maybe getting a little more involved in the sales team as well. For the past couple of years, I've been working with the professional services clients. So I know I talked with Jim and Justin about maybe expanding the role there a little bit too. So I'm excited about things to come and just, you know, doing new things, learning a bit more. I guess that'll be my highlight. You know, what, has it been 2 years? Now I'm coming almost 2 years. I can't think. I'm terrible with time frames. But I mean, the whole thing has just been a learning process, right? It's like every time I get a grasp on one thing, you guys throw something new out that I have to learn. And it's a good feeling once I get it, because I remember coming in to the company and being like, I have no idea what's going on. And now I know what's going on. But now there's something new that I don't know what's going on. And I will learn that. So that's always a highlight, is just the continuous learning, I guess. It's nice to have a job where it's not just the same old every single day. You know, there's always something new to learn, always something new to kind of pay attention to and dive into, and just kind of become familiar with. So that's kind of like an ongoing highlight, I guess you would say. But yeah, but looking forward to all the new changes that I get to learn about.
Well, I must say, you guys are part of a support team where a 98% satisfaction rate for the month means that we discuss what else we can improve, which I've never heard anybody do. You know, like, I don't think I've ever worked anywhere else where like satisfaction scores were in the high 90s and we were like, right, so what we can do better next time. So, you know, big kudos to you all for pulling that out. And, you know, I know Jim often says, you know, Reclaim is a support company, and that's what, you know, what is the roots of the company and where it all began. So, you know, I think if he was here, he would probably shouting, yay, really loudly the whole way through. So I just wanted to add that in there, because having your head down with support sounds like a big achievement to me.
Well, it is. You know, I really think the integration of all the teams here, it provides that level of just excellence when it comes to support. I've worked at other companies where, you know, if there's an issue that needs to be escalated, it's several days until you even get any kind of comment back, or a developer looks at something, and meanwhile you have customers bugging you here. And most of the times here, I drop something in a chat and I have an answer in, you know, under 5 minutes, or at least something I can like feedback to the customer. So it just, you know, things just keep moving here, and it's just a real testament to how everybody works together. Not only just kind of progress the company, but to make sure that the customers are supported along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jason, you've been awesome. coming up and to support us all, and like even just the communications pieces and social media, all that good stuff from here. But for me, highlight for the year is just kind of working through the finalizing the CentOS migrations. We went through all our documentation too. So that was a lot of fun. Lots of redundant, making sure images were loading, links were clicked, formatting was all correct. So that's in a good spot. But we've got all of that. But that's kind of what we've been working on throughout the year, I think. But I do have a little bit of an announcement before the stream. This is kind of, we're recording this, but it'll premiere after. This week is my last week at Reclaim, so this is officially my last stream at Reclaim as well. So it's a big milestone, and what's coming next, I'll announce that once the stream goes. So stay tuned for all of that fun stuff. But very bittersweet week and bittersweet stream. So, but thank you all. It's really been an honor to work with everybody, and I'm just excited to see where the team goes, where Reclaim goes, and the future holds.
Yeah, we're really excited for you, Meredith, for your next adventure, and I think we all feel really lucky to have worked with you. How long have you been at Reclaim?
Oh, I was asked that this morning. I want to say I'm on my 8th year, so like
Wow.
2017 to 2025, so that's 8 years, yeah.
And like fresh out of college, right?
Fresh out of college,
Mm-hmm.
I was the first full-time employee for Reclaim, which is kind of funny to say now that we've grown so much and expanded the products and all that good stuff. So it's been really, really, really fun to watch all the growth throughout the years.
Most of our celebrations, and thank you to Meredith, will obviously be happening offline and off stream, but we wanted to take that opportunity to say a big thank you. And I think if we had got our ducks in a row, we would have had some sort of impressive applause sound effect to wave you out properly. But unfortunately, I dropped the ball there. So we're just going to have to say thank you. And yeah, thank you from all of us, Meredith. It's been an absolute blast. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you blogging and online, and hopefully welcome you back to Reclaim Open in the fall if you want to come and share your work with us.
Yeah.
But I think everybody, unless anybody has any final words, should we wrap it up here and say thank you for watching and tuning in?
Yeah, hold on one sec.
Yay!
Okay, I'm glad that worked. Otherwise, it would have just been me sitting there silently for a second.
Oh, kudos to you, Taylor, for doing that so quickly. That's awesome.
Imagine if I had thought of it before you mentioned it out loud.
Oh,
that's what makes it magic.
Yeah, no, if you all like want to hear more about any of the future of Reclaim with especially Tomato One's own version 2, post in chat, let us know. And I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff coming up, and those watching on the Reclaim team who aren't in the stream, let me know if there's, or let us know in the chat too if there's anything we missed, because there's so much we've been working on over the last year. So I'm sure we didn't get a chance to cover it all. And we want to thank the community too for watching and hanging out. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that, we'll sign off and see everyone next time. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks, Meredith, for joining us today. And yeah, we'll see you all on the internet.